for now, let's hear from Temple Ashaju, who's our business correspondent live from the Nigerian Stock Exchange. The stock market is keeping its positive readings for the second day. Temple, this looks like we're coasting home today with these positive numbers in our back pockets. Take it from here.
So that sentiment is likely to continue today as well, Bosin. We're likely to see a lot of investors still coming, even though we know that the gap between the in the market breadth between the gainers and the losers is beginning to close up at this point in time. Yesterday we had some 27 gainers and just 20 losers, as against what we had in the precedent day, the precedent session. But basically yesterday we were up some 0.36%, with the equity capitalization gaining more to close at 11.55 trillion naira. We saw a decline in activity level in terms of the volume of transactions that was done, down by some 29%, but we saw a rise in the value of the transactions, which settled at 3.14 billion naira, and that rose by some 6%. But if you look at the sectors, we got 4 out of the 5 key sectors that we track gaining well yesterday. We got that happening. We got the gains happening more on the back of the gains we saw on the banking sector side of things. Access Bank rose yesterday 6.19%, following the a conference call that it had with analysts in the system yesterday, talking about the fact that it is no longer going to need a 75 billion naira rights issue because it is now confident about the some kind of accretion in its earnings, and of course confident about the fact that more loan recoveries will happen in this year 2019. It is also confident of the fact that the derivatives that they have basically maturing this year won't be rolled over. That is in a bid to boost liquidity, and of course that there will be no constraints around the Access Bank and Diamond Bank meeting their maturing obligations, because Diamond Bank has a Eurobond that is to mature in May, and that of Access Bank is to mature sometimes in the second half of the year. So they gave a whole lot of clarity yesterday, even though some analysts were a little bit pessimistic about that, because again, if you look at the fact that they're confident about some 150 billion naira that they will be able to recover within the next 3 years, analysts are saying that the economy doesn't look too good, it's not too good, much in a good shape for them to be able to make that recovery. So we saw the boost on Access Bank yesterday, helping the banking sector basically. The Unity Bank also, following the release of its commencement of its close period yesterday, we saw that the bank also rose in terms of the share price yesterday by some 3.45%. Name all the banks there, you got them all rising yesterday. Consumer Good, Honeywell Flour, Champion Breweries were basically helpful to that sector. Industrial Goods was the only segment of the market that was down yesterday. CCNN dropped by some 4%. WAPCO shed some 0.40%. Insurance segment, we saw Mansard, Royal Exchange, and Veritas Capital. All of these helping that particular segment yesterday to do 110 basis points increment. Oil and gas, we saw O&O rising some 1.06% yesterday, and that was the only company that did so well in the energy stocks yesterday. Rose some 1.06% to 4 naira 70 kobo after we saw some 3.17 million of its shares exchanged among investors yesterday. At the NASD OTC, where you have unlisted securities, we saw a decline, a further decline, 0.56% yesterday. We saw the USI closing at 745.14. Market capitalization trimmed lower, 535.34 billion naira, and we saw 71,341 units of shares traded here yesterday, valued at 1.14 million naira. All that took place in just 10 deals. If you take a look at what we have in the debt market, the fact that the DMO has now released its Q1 2019 auction calendar is driving so much sentiment to that segment of the market. A lot of investors are bullish on the fact that it is the largest offering since the third quarter of 2017. We're seeing some 360 billion naira to 440 billion naira that will be offered in the first quarter of this year. And of course, if you compare that to the 133.34 billion naira that was sold in the previous quarter, Q4 2018, I mean, there's a wide gap difference there. So that is driving up some kind of demand in a way. But yesterday we saw a bit of a bearish bearish sentiment yesterday, again, because a lot of the investors are bracing up for what will happen on the 30th of January. That's when the DMO auction will be taking place. We saw, however, the secondary market yesterday, average yield rising some 23 basis points at the short end of the curve. At the mid end of the curve, just 1 basis point. the long end of the curve, it rose by some 12 basis points. But we saw sell-offs more on the February 2020 security, January 2026, and of course the March 2037 security yesterday at the market. Before we go, Treasury bills is also significant. There was a bullish session yesterday on that side of the market. Average yields moderated further by some 3 basis points, so 14.44%. We saw buy sentiment concentrated at the short end of the curve. We, however, saw some kind of sell-off on the 294-day to maturity security, thereby leading to some 42 basis points expansion on that particular bill, and that represents the kind of expansion that we saw at the long end of the curve by 8 basis points. But if you look at the mid end of the curve, as a trader, you say that it was actually flat. But yesterday we saw the CBN selling some 410 billion naira worth of bills in OMO auctions.
Yes, great. So let's continue here. What are the early numbers showing for this final trading day, the last Friday of the month?
Well, it's still positive, Bosun. We're seeing some 0.08% rise in the key benchmark indices, and it's still on the movements that we're seeing on the banking names. Axis Bank and Diamond Bank this morning released the notice to the stock exchange informing the investing public about the court order, the general meeting, EGM, scheduled for March the 5th of 2019. Both of them, that's Diamond Bank and Axis Bank. And recall again that Axis Bank had an analyst conference call yesterday with the analyst community here, informing them of the cancellation of its 75 billion naira rights issue. And since that happened, we've been seeing the share prices of these two firms driven up in early trades. As we speak, Axis Bank has gained some 4.17%, done some 3.24 million units of its shares. Diamond Bank too has done a similar 4.29% movement in share price appreciation, and we're seeing some 6.19 million units of Diamond Bank shares traded so far in early trade. And if you combine that with the total volume of trades that we've seen so far in the markets as we speak this Friday, it's 24 million units that we've seen so far, valued at some 310 million naira. So analysts have also looked at the positions that were made available to them yesterday, saying that the fact that these two firms are considering their derivatives position that are maturing this year won't be rolled over, and the fact that they have no issues meeting their obligations of their maturities this year won't be a problem. This key information has been driving up the share prices of these two banks as we speak in the market. Of course, other banks are also rising. ETI is doing well. GT Bank is the topmost in terms of top trades in the market, so to speak. So the sentiment basically is still on the banking names in the system. And more importantly, we got the news a while ago that Great Nigeria Insurance,
Yes, Temple, we'll talk about the Great Nigeria Insurance. I'm just talking about the Access Bank and Diamond Bank. Anytime there is something like weddings, whether you're the normal husband, wife, man and woman getting married, it's always generates interest. So I'm not surprised this corporate wedlock between Access and Diamond Bank is generating interest. Of course, folks are getting ready with their Ashwebi and everything else that go with it and hoping for that jollof anytime it happens. So don't cancel it. Don't cancel the jollof. The wedding is very interesting, isn't it? We love weddings, don't we?
Well, we do, but then we're talking about money here.
Temple, even
we're
weddings
talking about money here. Part of the information made available. It's,
Go ahead, you got 10 seconds.
Is investment, actually.
Yes, wedding is a big investment. Okay, everyone, if you're attending any weddings this weekend, Temple, enjoy yourself. And everyone who's been watching Business Morning since Monday, we thank you very much, everyone. We'll see you at the other side of the weekend. Bye for now. Have a great weekend.